I like to know this in the beginning when starting my business because that's motivation to keep going.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
What's up, icons? It's the iconic fashion figure. And as I just mentioned, today we're going to talk about some tips for scaling your online business. I know the focus is on back to the basics and trying to get your business up and running, but sometimes we need that motivation in the beginning on how we can scale our business, the amount of money we can make, and how far we can really take this. It's like motivation in the beginning to keep us going so that we can get to this point that we're trying to get to. Because launching is only the beginning. That's not end goal for us. We want to actually scale it and grow and become a bigger business, right? So let's talk about those tips on scaling your online business. And that first tip I want to give all of you is knowing the right time to scale your business. And this is going to happen at different phases for all of us. Some of us, it can take a few years before we can get to the point of scaling. Some of us, it can be in a few months. But knowing that right time is key. You don't want to miss your mark when it's time to scale because that can hurt you, and then you're missing out on money too. But you don't want to scale too soon and force your business to crumble because you've tried to grow faster than you should have. So definitely know the right time. I will say from personal experience, you feel it. You know when it's time to grow. Not to mention, you'll notice where your demand in your business is a whole lot higher than what you're able to give. So it's time to grow it so you can meet that demand that customers have for your brand. You'll know the moment when you're feeling like it's time to scale. Don't be afraid to do it too, because a lot of you will miss that mark because of fear. Just do it. Tip number 2 is going to be building that customer loyalty. You want to make sure you have a loyal customer base when you're preparing to scale, because you want to make sure that customer base you already has grows with you, and then you add on to that customer base as you scale. You don't want to lose your current customer base trying to grow, and then you grow too fast and you lose the current customers that you have. Make sure those customers are growing with you. And by doing that, you want to make sure you know your customers' needs and wants. Make sure you're catering to your customers when growing, because some businesses I've noticed, they will grow trying to attract different clientele, so they'll grow in other avenues. Let's say if they're selling shoes and they have this high customer base of shoes, and then they add on clothing and now their focus is mainly on clothing, they kind of forget about shoes. You know what I mean? So you don't want to forget about your current customer base and their needs when you're growing, trying to add on to your business. You guys know tip number 3 is probably one of my favorite tips, and that is to create a business map of when you're growing. Basically a business plan. You're setting goals and plans on how you are about to scale. Make sure you have a plan when you're doing this. You guys know I'm all about planning. Don't set yourself up for failure by doing this blind eye. Take off the mask, take off the glasses, and actually plan this out before you jump into scaling your business. Tip number 4 is perfecting your product or service that you're offering. Make sure you're good at what it is that you're already doing before you scale. You don't want to scale and you are still trying to figure out the things that you're already doing. So perfect that first, then scale your business. And tip number 5 goes with number 4. Not only do you want to perfect your product and service, perfect your operations as well. You want to make sure you have those processes and procedures down for what it is that you're already providing before you add on or grow even further in what you're doing. Perfect your operations and then look into scaling. Sometimes too, I will say from experience, you will have your operations down and then you scale and realize you need to change your operations because it doesn't work out for this bigger business that you're now operating. So you will tweak things along the way, but at least make sure what you're doing, you're good at that already before you grow into something else. And with perfecting your operations comes tip number 6, and that is building a team. When you grow, you're going to need help. It's hard to do it by yourself if you're growing and you don't have the help. So some areas that you'll want to start looking into building those teams in would be like customer service for one, especially if you're going to have even more customers, you might need help in customer service. Sales. Customer service and sales might go hand in hand for you. Some companies combine the two, some have it separate. Figure out what works best for your company when you're scaling, when you're creating that plan. Determine if you need both customer service and sales, or that's going to be one department. Data entry. You might need help listing products on your website, taking taking orders if you do over the phone orders. So you might need people that does data entry, but then your customer service, if that's a separate department, may do those things as well. Warehouse, do you have people that are going to be packing and shipping for you now that you're growing? Because in the beginning, you may have been doing all of this by yourself. You might not be able to do it all by yourself anymore. So you might need someone that helps you packing up orders, managing your inventory, those type of things. Marketing may be another area that you need to build a team in, because if you're growing, how are you finding this customer base as you're growing? You might need someone to handle your marketing for you. Accounting as well. You're growing your business, you're making more money. You need someone to help you make sure your money is flowing properly and that your finances are intact. So accounting may be an area you need to grow. And when it comes to building these teams, it doesn't always have to be internal. You can have external teams as too, like third-party teams as well. So your accounting could be third-party. You can hire a financial advisor elsewhere. It doesn't have to be internal. And along with those teams that you're building, you want to make sure to build good relationships with like your suppliers and any partnerships that you have outside of your internal teams, because you want to make sure everything is flowing smoothly. You want to perfect those operations. So look into building up those teams and good relationships with any partnerships you have to make sure everything is flowing smoothly. And as you're building those teams, tip number 7 is to delegate and automate. Make sure to spread that work out that you might have been taking on all by yourself all this time. Now that you're building teams, don't be afraid to delegate things to your teams to have them do. And automate things. Use technology. Technology continues to advance every single day. So use it to your advantage and automate things that you might not need to manually sit there and do. When you are scaling your business, you want to be able to allow your business to run itself, so that way you don't have to do everything. So between automation and building your teams, allow your business to run itself so you don't have to do it all anymore. And that's what I'm talking about in the beginning, that motivation you need, because I know things can get tough and you'll feel overworked, you'll become overwhelmed. Remember that end goal. You're gonna have people doing all of this for you and you will just be able to manage it all. You don't have to do it all. Use that as your motivation in the beginning when things get tough. And then for tip number 8, when scaling your business, it's branding, which I've done a whole series on branding, but you want to make sure you're branding your company. Establish a true brand when you're trying to scale. People need to know exactly who your brand is. When people bring up their company, they know all about you. Establish a brand for your company. Tip number 9, when scaling your online business, and this is a big tip for a lot of you because not everyone has this experience, and that is to develop management and leadership skills. Not everyone has been in a position of management before or in like a leadership role, and that's okay, but you want to develop those skills because you're hiring teams. You need to know how to manage those teams and lead those teams. So you want to develop those skills, and if you don't have the time to develop them because you're focused on scaling your business, hire managers that can manage things for you. Just make sure you have some sort of management in place because you will need that when scaling your business. And with management, you also might need some sort of HR team in place. You might need an HR manager that's going to oversee everyone that you have working for you, or maybe even bringing on recruiters that are finding these employees if you don't have the eye to find the right employees for your business. Because one of the things I like mentioning when building your teams, you want to hire quality, not quantity. A lot of people jump into trying to hire as many people as possible to make sure they're covering all ends, but if you actually hire good employees, you won't need as many employees. So hire quality, not quantity. Otherwise, you're actually going to start taking losses if you're just focused on quantity. So get HR in there, get some management in there, recruiters if you have to, or you develop those skills and make sure you're able to do it. And then for tip number 10 for scaling your online business, and that is understanding analytics. Not only do you need to understand your business numbers when trying to grow, there's other analytics you'll want to understand, but let's touch on your business numbers, because a lot of people will just have it in their mind that they want to grow because they know where they want to be. But are you paying to your analytics and making sure it is the time for your business to grow? So at the very beginning, I was mentioning you'll know exactly when it's time to grow. And if you know how to read and understand your analytics, those numbers will tell you when it's time to grow. So that's a part of you knowing when it's time to grow just by looking at your numbers. So understand your business and your business numbers, where your business stands at before you actually scale your business. On top of knowing your business numbers, you want to know the market trends as well. So make sure you do that research before you grow, because maybe it's working out for you, but you don't want to grow too much because the products you're selling is actually trending down. So maybe your customer base you have right now is still buying it from you, but is this trend going to die down soon where you have to actually make changes to your business? So understand the market trends first, or if you're bringing on a new market, a new category, you want to understand those trends before you jump into it. Another thing you'll want to pay attention to is the economy. We know right now our economy is not what it used to be. The economy changes often, so understand the economy trends as well and what's going on with the economy before you scale your business. Is that going to hurt you to scale during this economy, or is that the best thing that can happen to you is to scale in this economy right now? Because there's some industries that are thriving and the best thing for them to do is scale and take advantage of this economy right now. Some might be close to going out of business, so the last thing you want to do is scale if your business is already hurting. So understand the economy as well, and then also understand customer preferences. As I mentioned before, if you're a shoe business and you're adding on clothing, are those customers you already have interested in the clothing as well, or are you bringing on new customers? You don't want to forget about the customers. You want to understand your customers and what it is that customers are actually looking for. So those are 10 tips that I want to give you guys to pay attention to from the beginning of starting your business for when it is time for you to scale your business. Those are 10 tips for scaling your online business. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching.